And welcome to another episode of building our own little NPC. Now let's come a little further away and let's go back to our home with our new infant. And what problems could we possibly introduce to our newborns so that they get a little bit more traumatized, because just adding the initial traumas in the hospital is not enough to build a great NPC, a great slave that will obey everything the masters want us to do. First, and the most important thing for such a young age, an infant, is probably getting food. How does the infant get food? Well, you guessed it right, from mother and her milk, from breastfeeding. There are a lot of speculations. When should women start breastfeeding and introduce and get rid of it, and start just adding regular meals, some vegetables, there's some soups or other kind of food to the child diet. But when we look at the statistics, the only I found was from 2010 about the breastfeeding in general up to for an infant that is alive for 6 months. So in the United Kingdom, a 6-month-old child, only 34% of all infants were still breastfed. Other were replaced by other means. They were not directly breastfed. In the USA, it was almost 50%, and in Norway, it was over 70%. So we see a little bit of a big difference between all these countries, and the number of mothers that still want to breastfeed versus those that do not want to breastfeed. There are, of course, many possibilities what can go wrong. Let's go into common pitfalls. Why can we encounter such a low rate of breastfeeding at such a young age? Because I believe it's crucial that the kid receives the breastfeeding. It's not only for food, but the feeding of mother being close to her breast is also bondage between a mother and a child. It builds a relationship between them, between a newborn child that is still new in this world and a mother that takes care about him, provides him not only with proper nutrition, the food, but also emotional support, taking care of him. So if we remove this breastfeeding, child can feel that the resources are now not endless, but there is scarcity of resources like food, and we have to actually fight for them. We have to compete with others for those resources. We are no longer provided endless resources that whenever we want, whenever we need, since a woman decided not to longer breastfeed the child. Something was broken, and that child doesn't understand why a child can no longer be breastfed. You as a small NPC, you don't understand this. You take this as something maybe you did wrong. Maybe you forced somehow this behavior that mother don't want you. Maybe she doesn't want you. You are not worthy of being breastfed anymore. Mothers may decide on different factors. For example, she has to go back into work. She cuts off breastfeeding to prepare child to go into a nursery or the kindergarten. Doesn't matter. But this choice of cutting off mother's milk is not a choice that child can make after he's grown up enough. Maybe a child could decide. Maybe we could let the child decide for itself whether or not to stop breastfeeding. But we have a lot of researchers, a lot of scientists telling us that there are specific time frames when we should introduce new food, when we should stop breastfeeding, when is the best way for do it. But wouldn't the nature give us the skills to actually know when we should be stopping this breastfeeding? But it's impossible in today's world to even imagine such a concept, because mothers cannot be with the child for that long amount of time. They have to go back into work. They have to go and leave the child with someone else. Maybe it will be granny, or maybe they will have to go to a nursery. They will have now the child for so far living and waking up whenever he wants, whenever it's up to him, that his own day and night cycle is now broken. Now it's time to introduce a standard. Let's say a mother has an office job, 9 to 5. So the child has to wake up with her, has to wake up and go to a special place at the specific hours of the day. Now it's gonna learn that this is the norm. This is how humans behave. They wake up at the specific hour, let's say 7, 8 a.m. and then we go somewhere else, then go back into home in the afternoon. It's standardizing the life cycle of every human being into given pattern, and then it's so hard to break this pattern. You assume as an adult that 9-5 job and 9-5 lifestyle is something so obvious, so natural to you that everyone just do it. It's that someone that tries to break from this is some kind of crazy. You cannot break from this. You cannot introduce other work or do this stuff differently. You no longer decide what the day. You have to wake up at the specific hour and you go to sleep at a specific hour, because in order to be well rested before the next day. You no longer can be and act on your own internal compass and decide. Some people maybe prefer to stay up late. Some people are more like waking up early. There are different people, different ways to wake up and live the cycle of our daily life, the night and day lifestyle. Another aspect is when mother has to go back to work. On the country, it depends. Sometimes it may be after a year, sometimes it might be after a few years. There can be also as short as just few weeks, and mother has to go back to work. It just destroys completely the bond with the mother. The mother and child are now separated for several hours, at least 8, but probably more like 9 or 10, adding all the time you have to drive and prepare for work. And then system takes care of us. Okay, you have to go back to work, because now we don't have a situation, economical situation is such as that we can no longer have just one person working and providing enough resources, enough money for whole family to live a decent life, to have enough food, just the basic needs, to provide for the basic needs. Now we need 2 separate people, mother and father, working their asses off in some kind of the corporation, in the office, or anyone else in the production, just to make it for the base standard living. Not any high quality even of living, just the bare minimum to survive. But there comes the beautiful system. Okay, we will create the nurseries and kindergarten just for you, just for a small pay, and in case of we can introduce in some social help in these nurseries, in these buildings. We have our own staff. We have our own educated teachers and person that will keep and take care for your child. You will no longer have to worry for the 8 or 10 hours a day what this child is gonna learn throughout the day. It is now responsibility of the system, of the government. The parent can no longer any control over this. They lose the ability to upbring their own child. Some of the parents even think that the upbringing is just providing the basic needs. So that the child is fed, it has some kind of clothes, have a place to sleep. That's not enough. There's still a lot of mental bonds, emotional support. Upbringing should never be a responsibility of a state. It is a parent's duty to upbring their own child, teach them morality, teach them about the natural law, how to be, how to behave in this world, what they may do or may not do, to help them understand the rules of this world and how to communicate with outside world. It's the parents' duty, not a state, not a nursery or kindergarten, but the parents think that their role is just to give commands and prohibit instead of uprising. It's more like they are acting more like a supervisor in the prison than as a parent itself. They just won't, don't do this, do that, do this, don't, do. You have to do this because I say you do this. You cannot do this because why? Why? We should only protect and not allow child to do what something teach them about morality, and that's something they cannot do because it's immoral. Not because I say so, because an authority as a parent says so. Yeah, but in nursery and kindergarten, there is also child lose the freedom to act on its own self. For example, there is a special time, at least in Poland, when in the nursery, all the children go into the nap time. So there is the day is divided into nap time, some kind of the playing, maybe some kind of the education, lessons. The child has no longer any freedom to choose what he wanna do in the given part of the day. Now his day is being decided by someone else. Again, the teachers decides what we'll be doing. When I was in kindergarten, I was also sometimes went to the nursery and they were in the nap time. I was old enough to just don't need a nap anymore. I wanted to play, but I couldn't play because the other children were napping. So I had to be very quiet. I couldn't use some kind of the toys because they were too loud. So my choices were limited. Why? Because I couldn't go to another room with anyone else and just be and provide for myself to decide what I want to do in this life. If you let other people teach your child, bring your child, you lose the control, you lose the ability to pass down the morality aspects that should be passed on by the parents to their children. That's why we have so many immoral people in this world today, because morality is not passed down to future generations. Just imagine the change it would make if it's possible to create a moral family. One more point when there is a father, mother, band of children, and they are all, the parents provide the morality and they take care of teaching objective morality to their children. Is it impossible? No, of course it's possible. It's possible and it's doable. Now just spread this little small unit throughout the whole world, throughout all the families that we have. And now we have the moral community. We have now moral world. Just by starting of incorporating the moral standard in our own homes, in our own, the smallest community. We have our own home, our own family. See, the raising of a child is the most difficult task a person can take on themselves. And parents don't realize it. Most parents don't realize that how important, how difficult that task is. They don't want to take the responsibility. They just are tired for taking care of it, of upbringing it. So they create an emotional abandonment with their child, another trauma that a child can have. Spending time with their child, they just put them in front of TV, tablet, or mobile phone, smartphone, and let this entertain the child, educate the child. So the parents can lay on a sofa and enjoy the day. After a hard work day, they need some relax, right? Well, maybe you shouldn't then have a child. Shouldn't have brought a child to this world if you are not able to take on this difficult task. You, as a parent, in order to care and create a strong bond, you have to play with it, interact. The child is providing the world for you, creating some kind of games. You enter this world. You don't try to set or be smart enough to play the game with the children, but make it for you as lazy as possible so that you don't have to do almost nothing to interact with this world. There are many games that you can just be as lazy as possible and not interact with the child. You could interact more and enter the given fantasy world that is created by a child and passed to you in order for you to go into this fantasy world and enjoy with him. It will create an emotional bond. You don't you don't need the toys, a television, tablets. It can be a little sticks, just pure sticks and imagination, pure imagination. But most adults lack the imagination. Their imagination was taken away from them. The state and system requires that parents will have to put up the money and the system will take care of everything. They will take care of the upbringing. They will help you with it. You just have to provide for them, for the child. Just provide the basic needs and we will take care of the education of your child. You don't have to take this responsibility. We, as a state, will take this responsibility for you. That's how we are Great. We want to help you to focus on your work, to help you relax after work. We have a really nice TV series for children. We have kindergartens, we have nurseries. And people think that way. Not long ago, there was in the news about, I don't know, it was Al Pacino or Robert De Niro, that he is gonna become a father at the age of 80, I believe. And there were some comments by people in my country that what will happen if the father dies and leave a young child without a father figure? And the responses from others they were just sad, because people can, well, at least he will inherit a lot of money. A lot of money will be inherited, so it doesn't matter that Robert De Niro will be dead by the time he go into adolescence. Just he gives him money. Maybe he is old enough and he won't have even strength to play with a child, but well, he can pay for a babysitter. Whatever, yeah, it doesn't matter. The emotional bond is not important, right? Father figure is not important, or mother figure is not important. As long as just you throw a lot of money, a lot of cash at the child, everything is gonna be alright. It's not gonna be alright. Because money is not everything. Money is not everything, especially for a child that doesn't yet understand what money is for and doesn't understand even the concept of money. They know that they have some kind of the basic needs and they have their father, mother, they have a relationship with them. And now if the one of the parent is gone, they can take it upon themselves. They can create another trauma that father left me, or father didn't play with me, didn't spend time with me. Yeah, but it seems like people don't care. People care about only the money. The money is the most important thing. As long as you give you earn a lot and you give your child a lot of money, everything's be fine. Child will be just perfectly raised, and it will create another great NPC in this system. That's what we want. Another NPC, not a waken up human being that is able to think for himself. Doesn't just follow. Going back into the kindergarten, there's also a myth that not sending your child, your kid, to a kindergarten is a social distraction. They will you just cannot let the child know and build relationships with other children other way, with other kids. There's nowhere. Imagine there's no playgrounds. There's no way for parents to organize some kind of events to meet up with other children. No, that's the only way is to socialize is through kindergarten. There's no other way. Some people even think they should create a life purely based on the tradition or pressure from parents, from the society, that we have to reproduce, even though some of them are not yet ready. They are not in a good stable life for themselves. They haven't figured out themselves yet, but they bring another living being into this planet. Why? Because there's a pressure. Your parents come to you and ask, well, when would you have another child? Is it time? You are with your girlfriend for a few years already. Isn't it the right time for bringing a child? Some even treat and consider a child as some kind of insurance for when you're old, and that the child will be serving as a servant of parents in the old age. When they are old and rusty and they won't be able to provide for themselves, the child will be now responsible for them and have to take care of them, whether or not that the child wants. That should not be the motivation to bring a child into this world. If you are a child that maybe lost a parent, the parent that of course left you emotionally, mentally, through divorce. I'm not talking about also the physical traumas, because they are there, of course, but they are the most obvious one. I'm talking about state and building an NPC. Of course, your parents did wrong. They created traumas for you. But now, unfortunately, it's your responsibility to heal those traumas, to understand yourself, decode yourself, and build up from this. Build a new sentient being that is not an NPC anymore, but an independent human being, able to take his freedom and his responsibility in his own hands. Nobody can do it for you, unfortunately. You can blame parents as much as you want, but that won't fix anything. Only you can heal your own traumas. And that's the sad part. So instead of wasting time on blaming the parents, accept, okay, they did not raise me properly. Now I have a lot of traumas, but unfortunately, I am the one that has to take care of this, to take care and heal from this. And I hope you can heal yourself. You can heal yourself so that when you decide to be a parent, you don't introduce those traumas to your own children. You will raise them better. You will understand that emotional, mental support is as important as just being there physically. Because just by being physically doesn't mean you are there for a child. I hope that was entertaining and you learned something about yourself, about the state of the human beings in a general, of our species. And I see you in the next video where we'll continue building our perfect slave. My name is Arek and you can always visit me on tridentofreedom.com. And till the next time.